creating a Christmas mini book. It's called the Festive Mini Album from the Cricut Art Booking cartridge by Close to My Heart. And these are on, the pages are located on 56 and 57. And we're using the front page cutouts, some internal page cutouts, some other internal, and then these two, both using Photomat 1 and Photomat 2 settings and setting them at 10 inches. And I'm also using the Snow Haven paper pack, so it has not only the 6 pieces of the B&T Duos paper, but it also has some cardstock with it in various colors, and I'll go through those colors. The first thing I'm doing, I've cut out all of the pages in the colors that I have wanted from this particular set pack, and I've used all the decorative pages that I could use from the pack. And then what I'll do is we'll go through assembling them. First thing is our cover. So I wanted our cover to be a little thicker than just the paper width. This is a little flimsy, and then if you just have a piece of cardstock behind it, which is what I had planned to do, it's really not a very heavy cover, so I like to have thick covers. So what I've done is I've actually cut a piece of, not chipboard, but just from like a cereal box, cut using my Cricut, the same shape as the general page, which is just the basic, the basic shape. And I'm using that as the background. And then what I did was, because I'm kind of frugal with paper, I actually want this blue paper to be the other side so I don't lose the back of this page. I wanted to put that there. So what I did was I cut out one of the little smaller pages as kind of the mat behind the cutout. And so that way I don't waste a whole sheet of blue paper on this side. But it gives me the ability to put one on the back. So I've attached that. I'm using some, because it's the cover, I'm using some score tape. So I've attached this piece. Now I'm going to go through and attach this piece here, which is the other part of the front cover, and just taking off the score tape backing. Take this off. We'll lay this down, and then as we are working, I will go ahead and attach these more delicate elements down onto the paper individually using the liquid glass. I prefer to have score tape or some kind of a really, really heavy-duty tape on the cover, just because that's going to get the most wear, but this will, since most of it's done with score tape, this should work out nicely. I'm going to take that and I'm just going to lay it very carefully over the shape, making sure to match up all my corners and edges. Pretty close there, and a little bit off. So then what I'm left with is these couple of elements are sort of hanging here, and I don't need to do a lot, but I do need to go ahead and use some of this liquid glue, not super lot because it does stick very well. Cover that and get as far down here as I can on this particular element. This is the element that's going to hold almost everything else down. So we'll get that down, wipe off any excess. And we don't have to do a lot on this particular piece because it really is, it's going to stay down pretty well. And then a little bit on the edge of this one. And down the center here. But otherwise it's going to stick down pretty well. So there we have the outside of the front cover, and we'll do some decorating later. Up. And then we have a little bit of a thicker cover so that with wear and tear it will not be flimsy and flopsy. Okay, so there you have the cover. So this half page was cut out using the cartridge. It's a two-sided, using one of the Duo pages. I have that. The next one is really fun. it's a cutout, and it has little Mary cut out here on the bottom. The next one is fun because it's the one that spells out Christmas on the top, and I can't see if you can see it on the white desk. It spells out Christmas when it's cut out, so that's a nice fun one with the two-sided paper. The next one is a half sheet of the with the 25 cut out, and that's one of the other pages on there. Next we have the cutout that has December cut out over the edge, and what I've done for this one is same idea as the cover. I've actually cut two of the same thing, and I'm going to stick them together, and that will give me, and put some chipboard in between, and that will give me an extra thick back cover. This is my back cover to the book. Now I'm working on some embellishments for the front cover, and I've cut out a an ornament, and just put a little bit of the scrap of the piece of paper that I had from trim. And then I also cut out this snowflake shape that could either be, without getting too complicated, could either be a round thing and then you have to put the little dots in to make it look really cool, or I'm just using the actual inside, the inverse part, and we'll just use that as sort of our decoration on that ornament. So what I'm going to do is put some liquid glass on this shape, and just use real little bits here and there just to get it to stick down on top. And since this is on the cover, I do want it to stick down pretty well. So I will just dotting little tiny dots on so it doesn't leak out too bad. It will maybe leak out a teeny bit, but it's clear, so it won't stay light. And so then we'll just turn it over and just place it on the center of that ornament. And as we get closer, I'll go ahead and put some string on it and hang it from the cover. The other piece that we're doing is I cut out the words Merry and Bright, which is another one of the titles, and I cut it out of two different papers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit them on top of one another, give them each a little bit of a shadow, so that, I'll show you, when you get it on the cover, it stands out just a little bit, and kind of gives you that a little bit of a shadow look, but I think it makes it pop off the page a little bit more. So what I'll do is I'm going to stick these two together first and then put them on the front of the book. There, so it will stand out. Now when we get it on the lighter book cover, it will sit nicely on top. There, and then this will dangle with string down from that B. Okay, so we've worked on the cover, and then this is the next set of pages. These two will be next to each other in the book, and so I want to go ahead and, I realize I'm crooked, go ahead and work on them together so that I make them connect with colors and with patterns. Now for the inside of these pages, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a belly band here that we'll be able to tuck some cards and some items into under here. So we'll just go ahead and do that. It's a 1.5 inch by 8 inch piece of just part of the scraps from the original cutting, and I'm just going to put some glue, some, what are we calling this, liquid glass on the very edge, just inside the edge, to give it some to glue it down, but to leave the middle open so that we have places to put little tidbits of pictures. Or another cool item that you can do, and make sure that you do this before you actually cut your paper, is along the edge here, all the description of the paper, usually on one side there's another really cool pattern that you can cut off and use as an embellishment for your thing. So great idea to go ahead and pull that off before you actually cut it accidentally on your Cricut or whatever. A great way, another way to add some trim that comes with paper. And so here what I'm doing, I found just a little thin scrap of paper, and I'm going to go ahead and add it to my belly band here. It's just a scrap of the back side of this paper here, so it kind of all coordinates well, but I'm just going to stick this on as kind of a little bit of an extra item, and then we'll get some other decorations on there. And so now that I've got that down, I'll go ahead and just trim off this little bit of edge here. Now next we'll make some cards to put in the inside of or to slide in here, that will be used as photo mats. Okay, so we've created the last. It's just got this overlay on it, and again white. What I'm going to do with all of this, though, is distress the edges, because I think that just finishes things up. So as I'm creating each element, I'll go ahead and distress them. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and distress the edges of this, and I've used my distress ink and my sponge, and I'm going to go ahead and get that softer, little bit softer edge on it. And so there you have it. So we have two smaller elements and then one larger element that we'll go ahead and stick in there. And when I figure out what sentiment I'll put on there, we'll go ahead and take care of that. Okay, now for the edge here, I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to use this little stamp that says Dream, and it's from the, let's see, from the Dreamer Flair stamp set. And we're just going to do that little bit on here. I'm going to go ahead and ink it with that same distressing ink, just because I like that color, and it will give us just that little bit of continuity on that edge there. So we're going to go ahead and just get it as close to the edge as we can, so you can see it when the folder is closed. There. And that kind of goes nicely with our distressed edges. And in there, Dream. That kind of goes with our holiday theme here. I've decided I wanted to go ahead and add a little bit of stamp to this tag as well, so it's not so plain. And so what I'm going to do is I'm using this little, actually it's connected to the art philosophy, but it's the Trim the Tree Holiday, kind of a mini set. And this will be nice and perfect, just as sort of a little embellishment on the bottom of this card. And I'm going to go ahead and actually I'm going to go ahead and use a different color. Okay, for this one I'm going to go ahead and use the cranberry. Create a red element on this just to give it a little bit of color. And then I'm kind of thinking, I think I'll go with the bottom corner here. And I may go ahead and put a couple of elements on here. There we go. I think if I keep going, I can put another element on there, another shape, same idea, just a different shape. It's a cute set. This one at the top. Let me pull it off into this. My table's not so flat, so sometimes it does not cover as nicely for these bigger stamps. There we go. We'll add some bling later, but right now that's going to work. So, okay, so then we have our 3 tag elements that are going to go in that belly band that will be photo mats for anything, or just journaling. You can journal right on them, or put another photo mat on there, and that takes care of that belly band piece.